Hey, business owners or company leaders, have you ever wondered if there's an ROI, a return on investment, when it comes to mental health in the workplace? What's the return on investment? What's the business case? Well, in this episode, we're going to be talking to Daryl MacAvena, a business owner himself who has done just that. He's invested in the workplace mental health of his team, and he's seen amazing results. So let's get into the next episode of the Flourishing Workplace Podcast, where Daryl is going to share with us some of the things he learned. Welcome to the Flourishing Workplace Podcast. Join today's leaders as we explore what it means to thrive at work, with purpose, safety, and strength at the core. Flourishing Workplace is changing the world by changing the workplace. Hey everybody, welcome back to the next episode of the Flourishing Workplace Podcast. We're so excited to have with us again Daryl MacAvena, the President of Performance Freight Management. And Daryl has been sharing about the journey of he and his team when it comes to workplace mental health. But before we get into that, can you tell us, Daryl, about this incredible belt buckle that you're wearing here today? I just keeps catching my eye. I barely have a belt buckle here at all, certainly not compared to that. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I was a bull rider for about 12 years. And
Wow.
One of my biggest goals was to go to Texas back in the day in the 90s. Texas was the place where the world's best bull riders were, and I wanted to go and beat them. And I finally did. So in 1996, I went to Seminole, Texas, and won a bull riding buckle, and
Wow.
felt really blessed that it was part of the goal, and it happened. So yeah, and I'm still here to tell you about it.
Love that. What year was that?
1996.
1996.
Yeah, Seminole, Texas, out in the dry Texas area. But yeah, what a beautiful journey that was.
Well, that's amazing. So 1996, you were riding bulls and winning championships. I wonder, for our audience, what were you doing in 1996? And maybe some of us weren't yet alive, but congrats, Daryl. That's amazing.
Yeah, thanks.
So when you think about riding bulls, and not to stretch that metaphor too far, but it feels to me like you probably learned a few things about mental health when you're riding bulls. And any observations you'd like to share with the audience today about that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's the roughest sport in the industry out there, and mentally, it's you against 2,000 pounds. So it's you're by yourself. Yeah. So mentally, you've got to prepare pre and post. And it's, for me, I think that's probably where I started to gain a lot of, thoughts in the business world, where I had to do a lot of planning and preparation. And and mentally, you're winning some days, and some days you're losing. So those diamonds go to dust pretty fast. So you either have to pick yourself up and figure it out pretty quick, because you're going to the next rodeo. And if you don't, you're stuck in your mental health kind of drought.
Yeah. I love that. And of course, Flourishing Workplace, we do a lot of work in workplace mental health and leadership development. And I almost have found myself lately not even wanting to use the term mental health. To be really honest, the reason I still do is because that seems to be the terminology society likes. But I so much prefer to think about the terminology of mental fitness. And I really believe that that's the way to think about it, because in the same way that your physical fitness just doesn't get better on its own. It's not like I'm born healthy and I stay healthy for the rest of my days, no matter what I do. Our mental health is very similar, right? And there's a set of practices that I can employ that increase my mental fitness. There's obviously a whole bunch of things that wreck it. And so I'm saying that as a bit of a segue to ask, in the workplace, and you run a company, you have people on your team, you're responsible for them, right? You pay their salary. Of course, they're working with you on the team. But what are some of the practices that you have seen that you can employ as a business leader that improve the mental fitness of your team the most?
Yeah, I think the biggest one for me that I see is we can get kind of that Eeyore state, when you lose something, whether it's an opportunity or business or whatever it might be, you kind of get into Eeyore, and that gets you really low.
Yeah.
I think the key is, for what I've seen in my organization, is that create a storyline or a testimony that you were involved with that built it up, where you were able to get out of that drought or that hole, right, and how you plan for it and that change. And mentally, preparation is priceless. But if you come into it going, well, we failed, so there's nothing we can do. Well, there is. Just turn around and start going forward again, not looking back.
Yeah. And I can appreciate that. Sometimes people said to me, man, you're so much into positivity, and is that just all mumbo jumbo? And I always say to them, okay, that's fine, but let's do a thought experiment. Just think every negative thought you can for the next week, and then tell me about the impact on your performance, your productivity, and then take the next week and do the opposite. And you tell me, right, which of those two things will impact you. And I think in this business environment where there's so much uncertainty out there and people don't feel very hopeful, they don't feel very optimistic. And, of course, we can't change that. We can't wave a magic wand and fix the economy or fix the government or fix really a whole lot. But as a business owner, what are some of the challenges you have found beyond that sort of macro environment when it comes to supporting your team and their mental health?
Yeah, I think for me, it's the roller coaster of the ups and downs. So you get the economy, you get COVID, whatever happens in the world,
right on.
All these weary darts are coming at you. That's a challenge. But my thing is that you can deal with the challenge if you deal with it.
Yeah.
But if you absorb the challenge and go, oh, well, I guess we just stick it out and figure out what happens, the goal is you got to strive ahead and start changing your mindset to say, okay, we have that. We can deal with that.
Right.
What can I do personally?
Right.
Because I can't control COVID. I can't control anything. What can I personally control?
Yeah.
And start planning ahead with that. And a lot of the time is that a lot of people don't have goals. I was just talking to somebody today and had zero idea what their goals in life were.
Right.
And I'm like, well, if you don't have anything, we just talked about it. In 1996, I wanted to go to Texas and win a bull ride. And I wanted to beat the Texans.
Right on.
So if I can beat the Texans, I wouldn't say, well, I'm going to Texas and lose. That'd be a lot of money and a lot of travel. So like you said, I had to put out the goals and plan, right? And prepare and be well aware of negativity is not going to get you anywhere.
Yeah. And in the workplace and on your team, what impact has all of that sort of had on communication?
Yeah, I think, ultimately I think I don't hear the response quickly, but I can shift them. Right. So there's a quick shift. Right. I can, and we talked about previous episodes, but if you have the ability to prepare for change and allow to see the flags that maybe they're kind of going down into that area where they might not think they can get out of that kind of mental, thought process, like, oh, this is a negative situation again. I think it's in reality, you've got to be able to be aware. Right. And I'm into horses. I love being the ability to anticipate. If you can anticipate a situation with your team going into the negative state or anticipate that they're not going through some good stuff right now, that's probably the biggest takeaway.
I love that. And so, I got to commend you, Daryl. And if you missed our last episodes, friends, please do make sure you go back and tune in because, unfortunately, you're breaking some cultural norms. That the outsider would say, well, this is an Alberta redneck. He's a bull rider. He's a cowboy, all of those things. And yet here you are, talking openly about vulnerability, talking about mental health, talking about supporting your team. I genuinely commend you for that. My question would be to that person who's listening today, and maybe they have control or influence over a budget. And that budget is, what are we going to spend money on? And they might be saying, well, why should I invest in something like this for my team? And again, you're a business owner, so you understand the macro when it comes to money and the micro. What would you say to them?
Well, I think, we spend a lot of money onboarding staff and we, preparing them, training them. And we talked about mental fitness. I'm a big advocate of that word, the wording mental fitness. I think that's huge. You've got to have the ability to think, if I put a little bit of money into their mental health status, it's going to give them longevity. Right. If we want a racehorse to run a lot longer, we have to train them.
Yes. And
we have to give them not only physical training, but we got to make our mental status really comfortable.
Right on.
And to have that ability to give them the longevity, we want our team to be able to run a lot longer, but comfortably, and be able to share things with everybody. If they're just going to tap into their own problems by themselves, I know what that's like.
Yeah.
I can't do it by myself.
That's really cool. I mean, and that's the key, right? We can't do it by ourselves. It's about collaboration, right? Coming together. And I'm just throwing this question at you. It's totally out of left field, but I was just thinking about it. Like, what are some of the challenges you see right now in North American culture in general when it comes to really creating that supportive environment for mental fitness?
Well, we still got the generational, it's not a curse, but we still have generational challenges from the past, right? Mm-hmm. So I think the biggest challenge is, we just, mentally, you fall down, you got to get back up, dust yourself off. Mm-hmm. We have to get rid of that generational thought. Yeah, I was that kid, fall off my bike and get up, you'll get over it. There's one thing that can stick in your brain. I've got multiple things. You know, people tell me I couldn't do something when I was 11 years old.
Right on.
Stuck in my brain for so long. All it takes is that one person to say one negative thing, and it's embedded in your brain.
Yeah.
We got to get rid of that stigma that, you know, we have to be more focused on our mental fitness. And if we could do that at a young age and at a youth and get them prepared like they do in the gym.
Right.
Imagine if you started doing fitness mentally at the age of 6.
I love it.
My 6-year-old would be well on his way.
I love that. And what a ripple effect in all of society. So thanks, Daryl, genuinely from the heart. And this is Daryl, of course. And Daryl, if somebody wanted to reach out and stay in touch with you, please let us know how they could do that.
Yeah, you can get me at daryl@pfmfreight.com or my cell phone number 587-897-7379.
Thanks so much, Daryl, and that's absolutely amazing. So in our next episode, Daryl is going to be joining us one more time where we're going to finish off this incredible conversation around workplace mental health and leadership development. So make sure you join us for that episode. Thank you so much. Thanks for tuning in to the Flourishing Workplace Podcast. Let's keep building spaces where people can thrive. Until next time, lead with purpose and let's let our workplaces flourish. At Flourishing Workplace, we're changing the world by changing the workplace.